I think that Gavin is largely incompetent, and I think the mayor is largely incompetent, and probably both of them are just stone cold incompetent. What they've done is terrible.
President-elect Trump ripping into California's response to the wildfires, but he is not the only one blaming Governor Gavin Newsom. Watch this California mom.
Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the call.
Why is the president?
And Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass had a hard time, a difficult time answering reporter questions about her response. Watch this.
What explains this lack of preparation and rapid response?
Let me just say, first and foremost, my number one focus, and I think the focus of all of us here with one voice, is that we have to protect lives, we have to save lives, and we have to save homes. Rest assured that when rest assured, let me finish. We will absolutely do an evaluation to look at what worked, what didn't work.
The New York Post out with an editorial that says this: L.A. fires show deadly results of voting for Democrats like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. Joining me now is former California Congressman and former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Speaker McCarthy, great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for weighing in here. You live in California. You've been the Speaker of the House. You've watched and discussed the policies out of California. What is your assessment of what's taken place here?
Devastation. I mean, pure failure. If you think for Gavin Newsom, he's been lieutenant governor 8 years, governor for 6 years. Prior to being sworn in, we had another deadly fire up in Paradise where 85 Californians died and one in Malibu. I joined President Trump at the time. We flew out, spent the day with Gavin, who was governor-elect, and Jerry Brown, the governor. I listened to President Trump tell them they have to change their behavior. Wind will come, a fire will come. But what a fire needs to continue is fuel. You need to take down the vegetation. You have to be prepared for this. Other states are prepared for hurricane. You got to pre-position. You cannot have firefighters go and fight a fire with no water. You cannot allow when winds are coming if you didn't prep the vegetation ahead of time. And then what do you do during the fire? Last night, they sent an evacuation notice to everyone in Los Angeles by mistake. Can you imagine what that does to people? Can you imagine? Then secondly, today we learned that 2 of the L.A. County leases 2 super soakers from Canada. One of them got hit by a private drone. And so that super soaker is down. This is such an intense fire that it is so hot. When you're dropping the water, some is evaporating before it even hits. We have 200 firefighters from my town down there fighting right now. They said they've never seen it. This is a war zone. And I know of individuals that have missing family they haven't heard from for days. And this is the compounded mismanagement of Gavin Newsom. People stayed behind to fight the fire because they had lost their homeowner insurance, because Gavin Newsom has avoided this issue and insurance have been leaving California. And it's an elderly gentleman who sat there when he should not have been, and they have not been able to find him.
Well, I mean, we're just looking at some of the moves that were made just recently. For example, just 2 weeks ago, the Fire Department of Los Angeles decided to not do their annual testing of the fire hydrants. Karen Bass, the mayor, cut $17.5 million from the fire department. You know, why? Here's one tweet from Sarah Foster. She writes, "We pay the highest taxes in California. Our fire hydrants were empty. Our vegetation was overgrown. Brush was not cleared. Our reservoirs were emptied by our governor because tribal leaders wanted to save fish." I mean, the water coming from Canada they sent to the Pacific Ocean to save the fish? Really?
This is outrageous. And Maria, my father was a firefighter. He became a fire chief. I was a firefighter for 3 years as seasonal. one thing I would tell you, we would go around and you work on the hydrants. You prep the hydrants and go through. That's part of the work that you do. But what Gavin has done with the pure infrastructure, if you are a leader, there's a few items you're supposed to get done. Public safety. Make sure the infrastructure is there for any disaster. They have failed on both measures because Gavin's priorities have been different. Gavin's priorities have not been the homelessness, the crime, and now the devastation where homes are just wiped out. You see these pictures, they're horrendous, but if you're ever on the ground, it is a war zone people talk about that they've never seen some. The intensity. Can you imagine whether not even knowing if you could sleep in your house? You could be far from the fire, but the winds are ripping through and the preparation is not there, and then you get a notice you're supposed to leave? This is all the work that should have been done. Gavin Newsom has been in office for more than 12 years, the lieutenant governor or governor. It falls directly on him. What has he been doing running around the country? What has he been doing? President Trump has done more for California. He put an executive order in to allow more water to be pumped through the Delta, to come through the Central Valley, to come to Southern California. And you know who fought him? Gavin Newsom. The voters of California passed Prop 1 to spend their tax dollars to build more dams, to store more water. You know who tore them down? Gavin Newsom.
Unbelievable.
This rests directly on what he has done.
What are they spending their money on? They're spending their money on drug addict kits, right? They've got the drug kits for the drug addicts. They've got more money for illegals. So now the question becomes, who's going to help California? And are we actually going to see that continuing resolution on March 14th include disaster money? The next step likely to be the enactment of disaster legislation to pay for the rebuilding here, right? Is that going to be the vehicle, do you think, for wildfire emergency and the debt limit? Because we've got a report from Cowen where an analyst this morning is telling clients that the rebuilding of the infrastructure and the emergency housing and replenishing FEMA will have to be part of that.
You're going to have to do something. These poor people in California should not be punished for Gavin Newsom. But what should have to happen in there is the policies have to change. And I will tell you, in California, there's going to be a number of people who have lost their home insurance because of that.
I want to play Warren Davidson for you. I just spoke with the Ohio congressman, and I asked him this question as well. Kevin, listen to this.
But California wants the money without changing the policies that are making the problem bad or worse. And I don't see how Republicans could possibly support that. I mean, we support the people that are plagued by disaster, but we have to put pressure on the California government to change course here. I see.
So has there been discussion already about the federal help that's coming to California? And are you saying that there's a little bit of pushback unless you see policy changes?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, how do you do that? Because you don't want to send the message to families, oh, we're not going to take care of you. They certainly didn't have a problem saying that to people in Western North Carolina in the Biden administration. Instead, the Biden administration, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to take care of everything. And so different response when it's out there where the Hollywood elites live. But when it comes to congressional funding, the idea that we're going to have an open checkbook, no matter how bad your policies are, is crazy.
That's basically what you just said, Kevin. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the direction is the people should never have to hurt in this, because California is more devastated because many of these people, unbeknownst to themselves, they did nothing wrong. They lost their homeowner insurance because of Gavin Newsom. What they fundamentally need to do here is maybe direct the money through a different source, but make sure the people get their money. What you need to do as well is Gavin Newsom has got to focus on the infrastructure. He should listen to President Trump when it comes to water policy, when it comes to vegetation, because I've been in a situation watching Californians die, discussing this, and President Trump was right when he told them then, you've got to prepare ahead of time. Wind's going to come. A fire's going to come. But the only way it progresses to be bigger and stronger if it has fuel. You've got to knock the fuel down. And they weren't prepared. Then when the fire came, the infrastructure itself, the evacuation, the hydrants, the water for that, they were not prepared for that. And we've got the Olympics coming to Los Angeles. What is going on? What the voters of California need to do is change the management throughout California to get real management for our state.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the agenda then? A group of House Republicans are traveling to Mar-a-Lago this weekend to discuss the reconciliation strategy. President Trump is planning to meet separately with the committee chairman and the Freedom Caucus and the GOP members of the SALT Caucus. Do you see the New York and L.A. congressmen or lawmakers trying to keep Congress hostage until they get their SALT deduction lifted? Is that where we are right now, Kevin?
I don't think they're going to hold anything hostage. Everybody's got to make sure, because if you do not get a reconciliation done, that means you don't get the tax policy done this year, and taxes all go up. You find common ground, and this is where the leadership of President Trump is so rewarding, that he's bringing people in now, because the House actually has a smaller majority, and this is an interesting little fact. It's the first time in modern history the majority in the Senate is bigger than the majority in the House. And come January 20th, they're going to drop 2 more seats, with Elise Stefanik and Mike Waltz going into the administration. So it takes some time to fill those seats as well. But they need to get their work done. And President Trump knows he's going to work every single day and knows how to get the job done. That's why he's starting ahead of time. And the Republicans are really going to show how management has changed America.
Do you think they should do 1 bill or 2 bills?
They should do 1 bill, because if you do 2, I think they're going to lose votes. It's going to get too big. And there's ways to make sure getting it all done. Jason Smith was right. That was a big win for the Ways and Means Chairman.
All right, we will leave it there. Former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. We'll be right back.